Kia ora, and welcome to Westpac Smarts Social Media for Small Business. My name is Michelle Lumsden, and I'm delighted to be your host today. So today we are tackling the world of social media. It is an absolute minefield, and while most of us are pretty comfortable using it in our personal life, when we go over into our professional life, it can seem quite daunting. So today we are here to try and demystify social media. We're going to touch on the different platforms we have available to us, and we're also going to cover the key ingredients which makes good content. So today's session is for 45 minutes. We have two amazing speakers joining us. The panel will speak for approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 15 minutes of Q&A. Now, we have had record number of attendees, which really illustrates the importance of this topic. So please put your questions into the Q&A, and we will ensure we get to as many as we can. If there has been a question that you have particularly liked or you want to hear the answer from, please just give that a little tick, and that will ensure that it gets bumped up the list. So today we have two amazing speakers who I've just said. So we've got Ollie Garside, who is Training and Campaign Manager at social media agency Mosh. He will share his in-depth knowledge and touch on the various platforms and trends he has seen, and then also how to make good content. Then we also have Shane Barr. Shane Barr is the owner of Shane Barr Shoe Repairs, who has generously offered to share his first-hand experience of building social media content and really building his social media presence and brand for his shoe repair business. So, Ollie, I'm going to hand over to you now to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Michelle. Kia ora, everyone. As Michelle said, my name is Ollie Garside. I'm the Training and Campaign Manager here at Mosh Social Media. We're a specialist social media agency based in Auckland. And yeah, I've been working in digital marketing and social media specifically since about 2014 in a range of different roles, from community manager for Samsung New Zealand across Hell Pizza, AA Insurance, etc. So I've got quite a lot of experience across a whole different range of industry verticals on how to use social media effectively in New Zealand. And I love sharing that knowledge with sessions like this.
Thanks, Ollie and Michelle. Hi, I'm Shane. I'm the owner of Shane Barr Shoe Repairs in Tauranga CBD, and I've used short form video to buck the trend of closing shops in the CBD and also closing shoe repair shops around the world and in New Zealand. I'm here to help 2 to 4 of you transform your business using short form video, starting by helping you with ideas to post a video a day for 30 days. I'll show you a simple approach that keeps things simple, doesn't require loads of time, excuse me, with the first week being the key focus.
Great. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks, Shane. Now, Ollie, I'm going to start with you. So, as I just said in the intro, most of us are pretty comfortable using social media in our day-to-day lives, but there seems to be this tipping point when you use it in business. And we have found, especially if you own your own business, it can be quite daunting. Business owners often feel a little bit exposed. It feels quite personal. So can you just touch on the main platforms, what they're really used for, what options are out there, and then also any trends that you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a little presentation to go through here. So we're going to break down sort of the different major social media platforms that get used in New Zealand. And obviously, I guess, perfect place to start is the big one with Facebook. Now, despite what your kids will tell you, Facebook is not just for boomers, but it's also totally for boomers. And I'll explain that stupid ageist joke in just a second. So Facebook is the largest platform in New Zealand, right? The largest audience size that we've got, just shy of 3 million users. Now, that is shrinking a little bit. They lost about 100,000 users in the year to February 2023. But I mean, you know, when you've got an audience this size, that's not too much of a drama. But the point that I wanted to make here is that they have a massive audience of the 45 plus demographic range, right? So that's potentially where, you know, some of those high value things that some of us may be selling, that's potentially where our audience will be spending most of our time. And still 60% of their audience, so almost 2/3 of it, are aged between 18 and 44. So the idea that, you know, the younger generation are leaving Facebook is kind of a little bit of an overstatement, but they probably won't spend most of their time here. Moving on to something like Instagram, however, so Instagram's obviously not just TikTok for millennials, but it's also totally TikTok for millennials. Instagram essentially is the platform that Meta use to stop users from migrating to TikTok. So a lot of the features from these challenger platforms, they'll integrate here and spread out to the rest of their platforms. 3/4 of the audience on this TikTok and Instagram, and there's 2.15 million of them. In New Zealand, 75% of them are still aged 18 to 44. They have lost quite a few users again, about 1,000 over the last year to February. But what we see on Instagram versus Facebook is much higher engagement rates. So people are much more likely to engage with content on Instagram versus Facebook. However, it's really focused around niches. So, they focus on passion points, as we'll see sort of with Shane's experience a little bit further on. What we're also starting to see is that short form video is becoming a massive part of this platform. So 20% of the time spent on Instagram is spent viewing Reels, which Instagram Reels are essentially a rebrand of TikTok done on purpose to try and stop users migrating. And speaking of TikTok, Shane's platform of choice, it's not just legal crack for Zoomers, but it is also totally legal crack for Zoomers, and I'll explain why. So TikTok is probably the fastest growing platform in New Zealand, right? They gained almost 200,000 users over the course of the last year. And, we're seeing massive growth amongst this sort of stagnating marketplace of platforms here. Almost half of the users are under 24 and 2/3 of them are under 35. So a massive, massive focus on that youth market for TikTok. There is a lot of time spent here. The global average of time spent on TikTok is about 55 minutes per day. That's almost half of the average time that a New Zealander spends using social media at all, of all of their platforms on any day. So it's a massive amount of time spent here, mainly because the algorithm that delivers content is very, very personalized. It's designed to deliver content to you as an individual based on the content that you're already viewing, as opposed to a platform like Instagram or Facebook, where their primary mechanism is based around the content that your network is sharing. So yeah, massive potential here. They're doing a lot of feature upgrades as well. So as Shane will explain a little bit further on today, there's huge potential here to make TikTok work for you, especially organically. Now LinkedIn, I couldn't find a joke for this one because nobody's funny on LinkedIn, so I'll just keep moving on. LinkedIn, surprisingly, is actually the second largest platform in New Zealand. However, the way people use it is very different. So this is obviously the B2B space, the professional thought leadership space. So the demographic range is quite different. It's much more professional. So most of the users are in that sort of 25 to 35 age range. And then there's a secondary bunch of people in sort of the 35 to 54. Once you get above 55 on LinkedIn, you see a big drop in users. Obviously, it's mainly a professional network. So as you're exiting the workforce, the need for a LinkedIn profile is probably a lot less, right? But if you've got any sort of B2B function, or you're wanting to, create thought leadership in your business space, this is definitely a platform to be a part of. Cool. And then in terms of trends that we're seeing, so there's a few things that we're starting to see. I touched on it a little bit when I talked about Instagram around the short form video. So short form video is sort of the content choice of any of these platforms at the moment. But what we're also starting to see outside of that is a move to things like branded content. So bigger businesses, for example, are engaging with content creators, small content creators, user-generated content creators, to actually create content for them, and then they're promoting it from those users as opposed to promoting it from their business. Creates a little bit more of a sort of a person-to-person feel. So we're starting to see a lot of that, especially in any sort of like e-com business. You're starting to see brands talking a lot less about themselves and a lot more using other people to talk to other people for them. TikTok has kind of led the way here. So they have a platform called Spark Ads. Basically, any TikTok that is created by any user, a brand can come along, contact that user and say, hey, I want to spend my advertising dollars to promote your content. Give me a QR code and I'll do that for you. So anybody can do that on this platform, and it's become basically standard now across all of the other bigger platforms as well. And it's TikTok especially, right, has become a tastemaker in terms of the type of content that really works. So if you're looking sort of like the trending content tends to be sort of an edutainment focus, so a combination of entertainment and education. If you can teach someone something while making them laugh or intriguing them, that's going to get you much better cut through as a creator than just shouting your brand messaging. And probably the primary way that people are doing that is these sort of things, green screen ads or ads where there's a person talking to camera as opposed to just static images or brands talking about themselves. So yeah, that's kind of that's very quick overview of the platforms and the trends that we're seeing. So
great.
Yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Ollie. Love it. And I can definitely relate to the average time people are spending on TikTok, 55 minutes. I feel that is the platform I'm battling my 3 children to get off constantly. So yeah, definitely relatable. So, and I also think that, you know, as brands are evolving, that becoming authentic and using these platforms in the way that they're meant to is becoming more and more important. Even us at Westpac, you know, we have traditionally been relatively conservative. You know, we're a bank, you know, it's not a surprise to anyone. So we're really on this bit of a journey of trying to venture out to other platforms, trying to have a bit more fun and also showing up where our customers are and trying to relate to them in their world a little bit. So so thank you for that. Now, Shane, you have been on quite the social media journey. As Ollie said, TikTok is your platform of choice. So can you just give us a bit of an overview on what you do and really delve into how you've kind of landed yourself in the social media world for your business?
Sure, Michelle. Sure, Michelle. During COVID, I started selling a bit more shoe polish and paints, mainly because I was bored. And I just found it really built some structure into my day, building a website and getting a few sales in when we could. And then I noticed my teenage daughters who weren't building websites were busily sitting on TikTok all day, and they could not be dragged away for anything. And
you and everyone else in the world.
Yeah. I was like, that's where my hair went, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, initially, I thought I better take a look at this and just see what they're looking at on there, because I'd heard that it was all about dance and there was heaps of dodgy stuff on there. And when I looked, I hardly saw any dance and saw very few sketchy things. So I made a couple of videos and they didn't do too well. And one early comment I got, someone said, mate, you've got a thinly disguised ad. It looks like an ad. You should do something helpful for people. And so when we reopened for business, it was really patchy in the CBD. Sales will be up and down and all over the place. And I just wondered about making a few more TikToks. And that guy that made the dodgy comment, while I wanted to tell him to bugger off, really, I did listen to what he said with the helpfulness and made a few more that were helpful. And I just made really quick, dodgy ones, one take, and didn't even edit them. And those ones did far better than some other ones I've done. So I thought I'd make some really good ones, and I spent ages videoing them, editing them, getting it all sussed out nicely on a full, very technical resole. And what we found with that one was we got back to 0 views again. So from there, I had heard of the 30-day challenge, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a bit of me. I'll do it for 7 days, not telling anyone I'm doing it, and see how it goes. If it goes all right for 7 days, I'll do it for the 30 days. But I gave myself that week so I could pull out at the front there without getting in trouble. One thing I did do about that time was look up how many people on TikTok had actually done a video a day for 30 days. And then I think they had around 1 billion with a B people. And only you'd be in the top 1% of 1% if you did a video a day for 30 days. So I thought, man, if I can do that, it'll be living awesome. And so I got into it, and here's my little tally chart, which Michelle's made very nice. On my copy, it was just a blank bit of paper done in Google Docs, and each time I did a video, gave myself a little tick. And I found that was a really good way of keeping sort of motivated, especially after I'd done a few. I didn't want to break the path. I also set up an alarm on my phone, and I'm pretty sure I set it for 8 a.m. So I had to post that video before 8 a.m. each day. And then if I didn't, or whatever happened to in the morning, I still had the rest of the day to catch up and get my tick, you see. And in reality now, it takes me so little to do a video, but back then it took me sometimes an hour or two. I was just stressing out on what sort of things to use and all of that. So, that simple little tally chart there, pop that into a piece of paper and just put it somewhere where you'll see it every day, and set an alarm on your phone so that it lets you know what's going on. As far as what I learned from this, keeping it simple, like that little tally form, and every part of it is the way to get through your first 30 days. Otherwise, you get caught down in the little details that don't really matter, like what sort of phone or what sort of lighting and things. If you do a 15-second video, you could do that, say, 4 times in a couple of minutes, and then so just go ahead and film it 1, 2, 3, 4. Try it. One of them you'll think, yeah, that went a lot better. So just go ahead and post that one. You don't need to get too technical. Some good ideas. See the red shirt. You want to find something that's catchy as far as a colour that goes with your brands, because to start with, you're just trying to stop people scrolling. So colours that are contrasting with your background, not too good here, but never mind. And also, like, I've got a shoe here. The black on the red is a good sort of a contrast, whereas if I had a really light coloured shoe or something, I've got a black apron and I use that one, and with the logo in there. Real good idea to have your logos. See how these logos, they're here, but they're not right in your face at the bottom of the screen, and that's what you've got to get away from. You can't do it like an ad, otherwise people just scroll away straight away. And just do not sell at the start. You're trying to get known, liked and trusted, really. That's the start. And then you can do calls to actions and things like that. The comments, read all the comments where possible, reply to them, but you want to have a real clear line in the sand with comments. If they're sketchy or dodgy, or you don't think your target market will want them, just delete them straight away. Don't even give it a second thought. There'll be another group where they're nice enough people and nice enough comment, but they're cheeky as, and that's where you can really get engagement going, because you just have to think about it and just flip them back another one, and it can go pretty viral real quickly. But if you're having trouble with the reply, one way is to just ask ChatGPT, because it does quite a good job of that. It took 30 days from when I started posting till I noticed customers coming in. Just a small trickle. There might have been a few, but didn't mention it before that. And it was hard. I wasn't really tracking them as such, but they'd make a comment, and I thought the only top place that know that word scuzzy and munted or something was from one of my videos. So that's why I knew it was kind of working. Plus sales were starting to go up a little. And then one day I went into PathLab for a blood test. I just got in the sliding doors, and the lady at the counter was like, "Hello, Mr. Barr." I was like, "Hello." I didn't know how on earth she could know who I was. And I chatted to her, then I said to her, "Hey, how did you know my name at the start?" She's like, "Oh, I've watched all of your videos." I was like, "Right." But the thing I sort of took away from this was the way she looked at me and greeted me initially. It was like a friend or family member or someone she'd known for a long time. And that's what you can do with social. It's important to have like your logos and things. You've got your logo in your business, but then you're probably going to have someone with a face in the business as well. And it's good to keep those two going. And it just gets you so much further down your pipeline as far as sales go.
Yeah. Awesome. I think like when I heard about your story, I was thinking there's not normally an obvious link between, you know, a guy who owns a shoe repair business and also TikTok. So the joining of, you know, your business and TikTok was quite a surprise. And then also the success of it was just mind blowing. But I kind of think maybe people want to be seen more ungritty, behind the scenes, just everyday content which you're producing. I know when I was telling a colleague here at Westpac about this webinar, and we've got Ollie from Mosh and we've got Shane Barr, and then she interrupted me. She was like, "Shane Barr from Shoe Repairs on TikTok." And, you know, this is a female that lives in Auckland that is not in the shoe repair business, but a big TikTok follower, and she knew you. So it just shows how viral and how people are loving this kind of unexpected content that's showing up on these platforms. So knowing what to create and what content to produce, I think, is often half the battle. You've got your business, you've got your brand, but what on earth do you post? So, Ollie, I'm going to come back to you now. What makes good content? What are the ingredients of creating compelling content? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see on the slide, however, it's not, there's not going to be a magic formula that's going to work for everybody. So what makes good content? No. The best way to figure that out is to keep a few key concepts in mind, but to do basically what Shane has done and figure it out, do as much as you can to try and figure out what it is that your audience actually wants to see from you. Once you start to figure that out, just give them more of that. So obviously that first point is understanding what your audience wants, right? So again, I'll talk back to what I mentioned about looking at things like evergreen content trends on a platform like TikTok. There are trends that come and go really quickly, but then there's also trends that stick around for a long time, and they tend to be focused around that sort of edutainment style content, right? A combination of entertainment and education. So in Shane's case, it may not seem like someone sharing tips on how to repair shoes is something that's going to be riveting for many people, but pretty much everybody buys shoes. You talk about a brand like Birkenstocks, which is an incredibly popular brand, but also has a reputation for getting pretty manky and gets thrown away as soon as the beds start to smell. And all of a sudden you have something that's super relevant, super interesting, because it's, something that people had never thought of before. And once, you do that sort of like a 30-day challenge like Shane did, and you basically throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Once you figure out what sticks and what your audience values, just give them more of that. So those long-term trends, they stick around on a platform like TikTok because the audience wants to see more of them. You've always got those sort of like ephemeral trends that come and go. Those are great for, potentially having sort of one-off hits. But if you're wanting to be sustainable, look for the trends and the types of content that trend for a long time and see how you can execute that around your business. The other part of it, and again, Shane's basically stolen all of my talking points, so I'll keep it brief, but engage with your audience. And I've got some examples. I didn't tell him before I put this presentation together, but I've got some examples of Shane's community management skills in action here. All of those comments that you get generated from good content, those are all engagement. Those are all things that these platforms look for to determine whether you're a quality content creator or not, right? You going in there and actually answering questions, being cheeky back to people who are cheeky if it's part of your brand. All of that is just generating more of that engagement. And a really key point that Shane mentioned about that lady at the blood tests place who felt like she knew him already. People like to do business with people that they, as Shane said, they know, they trust. This kind of content or trying to execute that for small businesses, especially on social, basically can help you sort of cut out, if you do it right, can cut out all of that awkward getting to know you phase. You can, they call it a parasocial relationship, but if you can kind of make people feel like they know you already, they're much more likely to actually trust you when it comes to your recommendations on what they should do around your business, right? The other side of that as well, with engaging with your audience, is also getting your audience to engage with each other. So, depending on who you are as a brand or as a business, not everybody's going to want to have like a one-to-one conversation with brands that they do business with, like Hell Pizza, for example. Not necessarily everybody's going to want to have a one-to-one chat with Hell, but if we can create spaces that we've put out into the social media landscape where people can chat amongst each other, you can imagine the conversations that were happening under this one about tagging a mate who likes pineapple on pizza. The banter was pretty hectic, and we kind of just stayed out of it, let people chat amongst themselves. The other part being accurate, authentic, and entertaining. So Shane does this really well. All of the stuff he does is based on his expert opinion as a shoe repair expert. The platforms themselves are actually also really good at figuring out when you're talking nonsense, and you won't get as much of a good boost in the algorithm. And also just people are smart, right? Especially on a platform like TikTok, most of the people there have been advertised to digitally their entire lives, right? The generation that uses TikTok most heavily have had the internet in one way, shape, or form from the day they were born. They know when they're being advertised to, which is why that guy called out Shane for his thinly veiled ads. So provide them something of value, and it should be accurate as well. If you're doing short form video as well, there's the idea of what we call a hook narrative script concept. So essentially, as Shane mentioned, he was using contrasting colors as a way of getting people to stop scrolling through their feed. And then you want to give them a reason to watch at least the first 3 seconds of the video. So you'll notice this content on platforms like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Reels. They always try and give you some reason within about the first few seconds basically a brief explainer of what to expect and why they should watch the rest of the video. That's called a hook. And if you don't have one, it can make a massive difference on how well your content performs. So I've got an example of a couple of variations of an ad that we did for a client where one of them, the hook was missing, and the other one, we actually reintroduced it. And this is an idea that we call creative iteration. So not necessarily reinventing the wheel every time you make a piece of content, but when something works, take that idea and create new versions of it and multiple versions of it and keep that success going. So this was a piece of content, really short, little interesting piece that we did for a brand called Goodness Me. What you'll notice is that the message, doesn't actually appear until right at the end of the video just then. And what we found is that video wasn't really performing very well in terms of awareness or driving traffic. So we iterated on that one and just basically did this. Took that message, put that right at the front, and then did the rest of the video afterwards. It can be as simple as that. It can be as simple as just changing the thumbnail on a video. That can have a massive difference on how well that video performs.
Yeah, brilliant, Ollie. I love the simple fact of just moving your key message or the key point that you want to land in the first three seconds. I mean, if we kind of examine our own behavior, or we watch our kids, even how quickly they are scrolling, it's actually quite frightening. And I often say to mine, you've just scrolled so quickly. How do you know that's not something that you want to watch? And they're like, can tell, Mum, boring. So their attention spans, and I have to admit, I'm a bit the same. How I scroll things is getting shorter and shorter, which is quite frightening, but it's the world we live in.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you don't give someone a reason to watch the rest of your video within the first 3 seconds, they most likely won't.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shane, you're obviously nailing this. How do you go about deciding what to create? I know you've been on a bit of a journey on some things that haven't worked quite well, and then you've kind of pivoted. Can you just talk to us a little bit about how you create your content that is doing quite well?
Sure, Michelle, thank you. Keeping it simple is always a good thing. I went through a few iterations and cycles of making it very technical and annoying, and then went back to simple, and now I spend even less time doing the videos and editing them because I just simplified it. Simple checklists like that one there that I've had on the poll, because sometimes you get a bit grimacy where you need to remember to smile and that. And if you film a whole pile of videos and your blimmin' mic's not plugged in, you just wasted all that time. So just keeping it really simple with simple checklists. Often to find things that'll work, I'll just go into the shop and start at the start in the A section of the shoes that are waiting to be picked up, and I'll just do a video on 40 shoes. And then I'll look at them, pick out 10 that sounded good, put them onto TikTok. The ones that go good from there, I'll redo them with a bit better script and just work it out from there. It's just a matter of trial and error and quick iterations. Otherwise, you're investing so much time and effort into something that just gets, 100 views or something like that. You've got to keep it simple so that you can effectively do 100 videos or something and pick out the good ones. I was just thinking when Ollie was talking ages ago, back what seems years ago, probably 18 months, when I was thinking about doing these TikTok videos, I went and got 3 quotes to make videos. And the quotes ranged from, I think it was $1,000 to $4,000 to make 3 videos. And I was like, oh, that's not very cost effective for me, is it? So that's why I started doing the videos myself. And if I was going to do them and do my work, I had to keep them, super simple. Things I noticed from videos that make them better with certain brands went better for us. So imagine if you're a painter or someone, you could use Dulux or something like that. Put a few different brands into a few different videos and you'll spot one that goes better for you. And then, keep doing more of that sort of thing. Well-lit videos with more light, more contrast, and certain backgrounds. You'll find different backgrounds make a huge difference. I tried them on a white background, the brick background, and different machines in the shop. And certain things like our sewing machine, people think is really old. They love that one in the background. So that works good if you're doing a video on Velcros or stitching. But if you're doing something on resoles, like the resoling machine's a good one to have in the back, even if people are not sure what that sort of does. As far as filming the content, I just use a second-hand iPhone 10 that I got from Rebello for $300. And initially, no light, no microphone or anything. You can get a light from Kmart for about $70, I think. And if you're in a noisy environment, not sure if I got one here, but a microphone, just one little lead about 1 meter long, and it just ties onto your collar there. With not the wireless one, just the one that plugs straight in. It's nice and quick to set up and use. If you're in a real noisy place like our shop, I've gone with a wireless one so I can leave plugged in and be on a machine. It just picks up my voice much better. With videos, just the sound has to be crisp. If the sound comes out rubbish, you better to voice over it again or put some music or something different in, because people will watch crappy footage that's all jiggly and moving around, but if perfect footage was something that's like rubble, they just disappear in seconds, eh? Oh, I can't tolerate it, but I'm pretty sure everyone's the same there. Yeah, it's just iterations like Ollie was saying. You just got to keep changing different things, but try, and once you've narrowed it down a bit, you stick with a background, and then you might change the shirt colors. I tried green shirts because I was trying to get the sustainable message across, but it just didn't perform as well as the red shirt. So, and tried black shirts, but then that didn't. Imagine a black shirt and then you've got a black shoe. You know, you just can't even see it. Things that work well are the ones, something that's going to stop the scroll, which we can use color and also more contrast. If your videos don't have enough contrast, you can just adjust it once you're editing them anyway. But I prefer to make videos that I don't have to edit where possible, just so I cut bits out of them and leave the rest as it is. These days, rather than doing like a before video and then an after video, where we've done both of the shoes, like repairing both of these, say, and then another video, I just do one video that has the before and I've already fixed just one shoe, then I can do it all in one take and it all looks nice. And each business will be different, but it took me a while. I got a logo on my shirt here, and so I did the shoe on this side, and that way it all sort of looks right. And especially if you've got this shoe pointing that way, it looks very unbalanced and weird. But it takes a while. These are little things, but they make a big difference. Because from your angle, this is before and this is after, so this one had to be the one not done. Maybe a little esoteric there, sorry. But yeah, keep your videos short to start with, because it's way less effort that you have to put in editing them. And yeah, short and simple, really. And the first 3 seconds, as Ollie says, critical. So I'd suggest just get into it and start videoing. So.
Awesome. That's a great lead into my next question, Shane, because a lot of viewers, and we do have a lot of viewers on today's session, will be thinking, this is great. I get it. I need a plan. I need to be my authentic self, but how do I get started? We know that when we talk to a lot of our small business customers, a big thing that that they're quite nervous and a little bit apprehensive about is making that leap into the social world for things we've just talked about earlier. If it's your own business, you can feel a little bit exposed, you can feel vulnerable. So I'm going to throw this one out to both of you. Ollie, I'll start with you. So what advice would you give our viewers today on how to get started on their social media journey?
Yeah, absolutely. It is obviously, it's the hardest question to answer because it's the one that takes the most sort of courage to do. That first step is always the hardest one, right? For us, essentially, probably getting rid of some of that nervousness is just as simple as making a plan, right? So you want to sort of understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, whether it's promoting your business or just even getting your name out there. Make a plan and then stick to it. So Shane, for example, his plan was just as simple as I'm going to make a video a day for 7 days and I'm going to stick to that. And he did. And then he went on to do 30 days. From there, it actually worked really, really well for him. So probably the easiest thing to say for getting started is just to get started. But a couple of things to keep to do a little bit of research. So not just on your competitors, but just on content creators in general. Those big content creators like Shane, for example, who have sort of figured out sort of what it is their audience wants, study what they do and see how you can emulate that yourself. And then choose just a few key platforms. You don't necessarily have to be visible or on every single platform that's available. Just pick maybe one to start with. Shane started with TikTok. That's where he stayed. It's where he's most comfortable. Pick the platform that you use the most personally. You'll probably be the most familiar with it, and just start from there. And then you can start migrating out to other platforms once you've kind of got the swing of it. Like I mentioned, short form video on TikTok, if that's where you start. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, they've all got short form video versions that you can just basically take that content, transplant it onto those platforms. You don't even have to film new stuff. just make yourself available on all of the different channels with those same videos if you wanted to.
Right.
But yeah, the last thing though is just to aim for consistency. So if you're going to set yourself a challenge to post once a day or 3 times a week or whatever it is, be consistent. Set yourself a posting cadence that you can do constantly, as opposed to just posting like once a day for 10 days and then disappearing for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey guys, I'm going to jump to Q&A. We've got a heap of Q&A, and I know that our audience will be really keen to hear what people have asked in the questions. So sorry, Shane, I will cut you from that one and we'll move to Q&A if that's okay.
Yeah, I love Q&A. Everyone's better. Yeah.
No, all good. So a question from the audience: should we be using the same content across multiple platforms or producing different content to suit the platform? Ollie, I'll hand to you if you like.
Yeah, I think I might have already answered that question right there. But yeah, there is types of content that can cross across different platforms. If you're doing short form video, obviously it's just the platforms that have short form video. But usually what works on, especially for the platforms that are like consumer facing or just entertainment based, like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, what works on TikTok, for example, usually works across everything. Because the same people will use those different platforms to varying degrees. So yeah, absolutely you can. Adapt it to match the platform though. So for example, don't put hashtags in the heading copy on Facebook, for example, because nobody does that, but you do on Instagram. So little adjustments, but yeah, crossover content's totally fine.
Awesome, thank you, makes sense. Shane, one for you. Best way to grow your Facebook or Insta followers, and I assume TikTok as well, when just starting out?
Yeah, just simply do something consistent, have a plan, just do a video a day, do it for 30 days, and then get sort of involved in the questions and answers and just learn from it. I think at the beginning, it's all about quantity of videos that you're posting, not the quality. Don't worry about too much of the changes and differences and hashtags and things. My probably first 100 ones, I didn't even have my right username loaded on my TikTok account, and I posted to the wrong Facebook account too. I posted to my personal one, which actually went really well. Got something like 30,000 followers out of it, weirdly. But down the track, yeah, sure, there's variances between them, and you want to learn about those later. But just focus on the first 30 days to start with, otherwise you get overwhelmed.
Cool, awesome. Right, next question. What are some of the ways to attract customers on your social media platforms? So how do you attract customers to come and follow and come and support you or engage with you? Either Ollie?
Personally, I don't just didn't even worry about it. Just let the content do it. And because to start with, you really want to just learn what they'll automatically go and do without any calls to action and trying to be any salesy business. Generally, any of those things, you might get more followers, but it might not be the ones you really want. You want people that actually go, oh, I love this, and they go and do it. I think it might take you a little longer to get more followers and sales, but there'll be more solid ones once you've done it.
Cool.
Yeah, and a lot of just to go on to that, what Shane's built, essentially, his content is a bank of what we call social proof. So it's proving to people that he knows what he's talking about, he's an expert in his field, and oh yeah, by the way, I'm just down the road in your local area. Why don't you come and get me your shoes repaired? So yeah, definitely do what you can.
Awesome, thanks guys. Is boosting posts, so paying for it, is it worth it? Or should we just post organically?
Depends on the platform and depends on the content type, but generally speaking, yes. So like I said, with TikTok, it's designed to deliver content to people, no matter whether they're following that creator or not. So Shane's content can get delivered to anybody on TikTok if they've been interacting with content that's maybe similar to his. On platforms like Facebook or Instagram, however, your standard, like a post that you put on your business page, the reach that you get for free from that, the organic reach, is very, very low. Like it's sort of in the single-digit percentages of your follower base. And you also don't get to choose who those people are. So having investing in some sort of paid media, if you're not just primarily doing a lot of short-form video, sort of similar to Shane's style, we would absolutely recommend. But you want to make sure that you understand what the objective is that you're trying to drive, and who your target audience is. Because if you're targeting the wrong people and you're asking them to do the wrong thing with that paid media, then you're not gonna drive business objectives anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any thoughts, Shane, from your
My
perspective?
take on that, yeah, I posted the odd one on Facebook and boosted it. I think it's going well, but I was running a lot of Facebook ads before TikTok, but they were slowly not working as well. So now I get the TikToks that work the best, or the Facebook Reels, and then use those as ads if I want to run some ads, and just let Facebook's AI deliver it wherever they want, because they seem to get it better than I do, that's for sure.
Brilliant. Now, next question from our audience. Hashtags still a thing?
Depends on the platform, but absolutely, yeah. Instagram, yes. If you're not using them, you are missing out. Same with TikTok as well. And TikTok, you don't have to use as many of them, just a couple of barely selected ones. But yeah, they are still a thing. It just depends on the platform.
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you. What's a recommended frequency for posting to build followership and drive engagement with your content? So how often should people be posting? Is there a thing as such as overposting?
No, just get into it. Do one a day. Stop thinking about it.
Don't overthink it.
When I did the 30-day challenge, I continued for 90 days and did one a day. And I was posting to about 5 platforms when I was doing that. And I was doing it manually. Now I just use a scheduler. But don't worry about all those little things. You got to first start posting, because that's what's going to get you there, not the right hashtags. They're like a little bit of icing on the cake, but they're not the big deal.
Yeah, nice. And that's kind of going into the theme of just get started. You're not always going to get it right, but that's okay. You'll 100%. Soon learn what is working and what's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I did say, like try and aim for consistency. Like Shane, again, even though Shane's posting one a day, he's doing it consistently. So yeah, consistency is a good thing to keep in mind as well. But yeah, just get into it. The worst thing that's going to happen is nobody's going to watch them.
Yeah. Well, I feel this is a bit of a tricky one to answer, but I'm sure you guys are up for it. We post regularly 3 times a week, but not getting the likes we want. So how do we get more likes and engagement?
You got to, I think of your end goal. Who cares about likes? That's just a little number there. You're after sales to make your business more profitable. And so it's not even just about getting more leads. You want to go sort out your website and your conversion and shop. But things to do, look at the days. Maybe Wednesday's a good day, and I don't know the other days for your business, but you can Google it. Make sure those days are on suitable days, and maybe send a video to Ollie and he'll pick it apart for you and tell you where you're going. Otherwise, send me one too. I'm happy as to look at it and give you some couple of ideas.
Nice. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will take you up on that.
Go for
it. Okay, next question coming in hot is, what is a good app to create videos on?
Depends on the platform, but CapCut, which is TikTok's video editor, is a pretty decent one, and it's free, which is always a bonus. I don't know, what do you use, Shane?
I use Capwang just because that was the first one I could find that would do the captions that I wanted to do back in the day. 18 months, lots changes in 18 months, eh? But if I was starting today, I would do what you just said, CapCut on the phone, do it all on the phone to start with, and just get those videos out there. After 30 days, you'll think, oh, for my business, I need to do this, and then you can change.
Yep. Okay. So if using short form videos, do these need to be slick and professional, or can they be produced more on the fly, selfie styles, talking to camera? I think I could answer this. Yeah. But I won't. You guys answer.
I mean, I think Dane's a prime example of, like, they don't need to be slick. The rougher, like you said, the rougher the better sometimes.
Yeah, it's all about getting that first 3 seconds right and having it so it's value to the customer. All the other things are beside the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's much less about the production value, and it's about the value of what you're producing. So what value are you giving to your viewer? That's the important part. How it looks, less important.
And often it's something that you might not value yourself. Like, I've had millions of views for how to tie shoelaces. Customers that can't tie shoelaces or have trouble tripping over them because they come undone, that is worth $5 to them. It's probably worth more in their lifetime. So it's often something you take for granted and just completely know, but not everyone does.
Yeah, and this is what we're also finding here at Westpac, that customers or our consumers aren't wanting highly polished, overproduced videos and content. They want the more authentic, real, gritty, and also showing up where they are and how they want us to show up. So it's kind of, there is a role, you know, for highly polished videos in marketing in general, but I think in social, the grittier and the more natural and real, the better. Okay, we're at time, but we'll go to one more question. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. Service-based company, just starting out on Facebook, and I want to spread the word of our new clinic. What is the best way to do this? So it's a bit of an awareness job, I feel.
It is a bit of an awareness job. That one, I mean, yeah, potentially starting on Facebook or starting on Facebook organically is going to be a bit of a challenge. Because, you know, as I said, Facebook's not going to deliver your content very far for free. Try using the short form video, so Reels. The Reels on Instagram and Facebook work much more like TikTok does. So they will get recommended to people who don't follow you but like the style of content that you're creating. So potentially look into that short form video as a way of getting free sort of exposure to people outside of your existing follower base. Otherwise, potentially a little bit of paid media to try and sort of drive awareness of your business, drive people to your website, for example. Support all of the pieces of the business that actually make you money, like your website and your actual your booking system, rather than just trying to make your Facebook known for making your Facebook known.
Yeah, I reckon Reels for sure, and just make them one a day, nice and short, 30 seconds maybe, and just something about the story of setting up in business and how why you decided to do that and how you hope to help people, and a bit of behind the scenes of the setup. And
Totally.
then from that you'll see, oh, this one went well. Go and make 10 more like that one.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We are at time. So I would like to thank both of you, Shane and Ollie, for your amazing insights and taking the time to talk to us today. I have loved being the host of today's webinar, and I hope everybody listening and watching has got some golden nuggets from our expert panels here. So just remember, go out, be authentic, have some fun, and don't be scared to fail. Thank you for joining us today. See you next time.